taken to reverse the decline that this country is is moving on. In other words, stop it and try to get this country in a direction. Really, they draw their inspiration. The original founders drew their inspiration. We all draw inspiration from Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, whose time of leadership of this country was probably, can be said to be the most productive, most excellent time in the history of this nation. So they are eager to restore this nation, if we could call it, to its days of glory.
So would you say you are an Nkrumahist?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. They even say new Nkrumahist. The new name
new
is
Nkrumahist.
New
Nkrumahist.
New phrase is being invented to describe that. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So what's the difference between the new Nkrumahist and the old Nkrumahist?
Well, not really. I think it's about trying to reinterpret Dr. Nkrumah's vision in the modern context, because the world has changed. A lot of things have changed. So you can't probably do the same things exactly the same way. You need to find new ways of reinterpreting lasting and values that created so much progress in the modern era.
Right. So, but let's talk about you, as the presidential aspirant for the Progressive Alliance for Ghana.
Yes.
I mean, for those who don't know, or for those who may probably be listening to you for the first time, or hearing your voice for the first time, or watching you on our Facebook live stream for the very first time, who is Dr. John Kpikpi? Who are you?
Well,
apart from, of course, we knowing that you are the presidential aspirant for the Progressive Alliance.
I'm an apostle of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Oh, really? A man of God?
Yes. I've planted many churches. I'm also, before then, I'm a scientist because I got my doctorate degree in medical biology and lectured in the University of Ghana Science Faculty for 6-7 years. And so I've got that as well. And over the last, you need to know, I'm also born 65 years ago to my parents in Hohwe in the Volta region of Ghana.
Right.
I went to 2 secondary schools, Pando Secondary School and Maoli Secondary School, and then to University of Ghana for my first degree, and I did my doctorate, as I've mentioned, at the University of Sussex in Brighton, in the UK. Then I lectured in Legon for 7 years. Then I had a call of God to go into the ministry full-time, which I've done for the last 25 years.
Wow.
And then growing out of my increasing understanding of the role for leadership in our nations as being very much part of God's agenda for his people, I began to be drawn into a political space.
Right. So is it a calling, wanting to be president? Did God tell you that you should become president or you should run for president?
What I can say is that all my life I've been caring for people, whether I'm in the university or I am in the churches that we look after, many churches, caring for people, the school that we established, caring for people. So caring for people and making their lives better and easier has been, you could summarize, my life's work. And so as I've been involved in this, I've seen many changes in people's lives, many changes in communities for good. And then I look outside of our circle and I look in our nation and I see, however, that many things that concern me, people's lives are not becoming better. People are not being cared for at the national level. People are not being looked after as a government or as a leadership should be doing in the nation. So I got concerned about that. So that concern drew me to think very, very seriously about what can be done. Initially, it began with, complaining like everybody else about it. And I thought, no, we've got to step up and do something about it. So the lessons I've learned, caring for people over 2-3 decades, the results I've accomplished, caring for people, encouraged me that I can bring the same, and so that the 34 million Ghanaians, almost like we are trying to escalate it, multiply what we have accomplished in our circles at the national level. And I believe that is possible. So I want to bring hope for Ghanaians. I want to bring a new expectation. I want to bring a new reality where their lives are improved, lives can become better.
That's why you want to become president?
Yes.
To bring hope to Ghanaians?
Yes.
You believe hope is lost?
Oh, well, you only have to talk to anybody in this nation and see. Yes, many people are frustrated. They've seen all kinds of shades of government in our nation, and not many people are impressed right now about what they are receiving.
What are you not impressed about with regard to this government that makes you want to come and take over the reins of government? What are you not impressed with?
Well, I think there is a lot that we can talk about, but I wish we would go on and talk about how we're going to transform it when we talk about how things are being transformed. But let me mention, for example...
Yeah, but of course, I mean, you want to bring a transformation. There should be a reason why you want to bring a transformation.
Yes.
Looking at the current status quo,
Yeah.
And the things that you believe need to change. So I want you to talk about those things.
Yes.
And then we come to the transformation.
That's right. I think that one thing that should concern every Ghanaian is the level of indebtedness of our nation right now. We are at a place where our debt to GDP ratio is at an all-time high. Depending on who is telling you, it's either 85% or well beyond that. And that actually has serious implications for everything else going on in this country. We are in a context where inflation is at an all-time high, which actually wipes out the value of the incomes of many people who are receiving regular monthly salaries. We are living in times where our young people, professionals, are leaving the country in droves. In fact, some of my daughters who graduated from the medical school, they go back a year later to look for their colleagues. Most of them have left this country, medical profession, engineering, just name it. Teachers, there is basically, when people leave, they are voting with their feet. They are saying that there's nothing here, that they can't see any hope or opportunity for achieving their objectives or ambitions or potential, realizing their potential in this country. So they're looking for other countries. That is a very bad thing going on in our nation. I could go on and on and on, but I think that people already know. It's not for me to lecture them. People know it, and you know it as well. Yes.
Well, you also know it.
Yes, that's
and
right.
you know the areas that are of concern to you that makes you want to come in, rescue this country. So how different will a Dr. Kpikpi administration be from, say, that of an MPP administration or an NDC administration? How different will it be? How differently are you going to run things if Ghanaians believe in your vision and give you the mandate?
I believe that we in Ghana need to start off by reimagining Ghana. The way this nation is now, we have to reimagine, we have to dream, we have to envision a completely different nation to start with. And the key thing that has to be at the core of leadership of this new nation will be integrity, truthfulness, honesty, transparency. That has to be at the heart of government. Because before we get into any other projects that we're going to be starting or doing, all projects will all fail or collapse on day one if we don't have this invisible quality of integrity operating and pumping through the veins of government, pumping through the nation as a whole. So there has to be integrity at the core of government, and we have to dream for that. We have to live for that. We have to present it. And as a government, PAG government, we will pledge to Ghanaians to have a government that is rooted and established in integrity. One of the things, it could be a number of ways. You want to go into details, or I should just tell you a bit more? We want to create a nation, imagine a nation where instead of our young people queuing up at the embassies of the UK and the USA to leave, we will reverse that. So people will be queuing at our embassies in other nations to come to Ghana because we have created a state where young people can accomplish and do great things and achieve their objectives way beyond what they could have even imagined. We'll set the nation up for that.
So how will you do that? How will you set the nation up for that? How will you make the country so attractive that others would want to come into the country rather than leave?
That's great.
What are the things that you are going to do?
Well, we actually have thought through it, and I can mention that we've got 5 interconnected transformations. If you want to mention 5, just think about your 5 fingers. And we've got 5 powerful interconnected transformations, which if we begin to implement them, it will lead to us creating and securing the wealth of this country. Can I tell you about this?
Yeah, what are they?
Well, let me mention them first, all 5 of them. First of all, it will be transforming agriculture. Secondly, transforming industry. Thirdly, transforming natural resource ownership. Fourthly, transforming infrastructure. And then fifthly, transforming ethics. Now, I can start off with the transforming agriculture. Now, it's no longer, it's unacceptable that so many decades after our independence, we're still importing rice. In fact, 60% of the rice we eat in this country is imported, giving us a bill of $391 million US. 7 out of every 8 chickens consumed in this country is imported, giving us a bill of $410 million US. Now, this is unacceptable, not under any circumstances. So an agricultural transformation will aim to eliminate the importation of these major items, rice and chicken, from our bill within 3 years. Now, you've got to imagine what it will mean. That's why you've got to reimagine this nation. Imagine what this will mean for our country. It means that a total of almost $800 million US of wealth is going to be circulating in our nation now. Ghanaians will be producing this. Ghanaians will be making this money. Ghanaians will be producing the feed and all the things that we need. Ghanaians will now have this in their pockets within 3 years.
Right.
And that is uplifting, raising up the wealth profile of citizens within 3 years significantly.
So within the 3 years, what are the things that you are doing to make it happen? Transforming the agri sector and making sure that all of these things are running. What specifics are you doing to make sure that within the 3 years we are not importing chicken, from anywhere? We are not importing rice from anywhere.
If you want to know, there will be government investment in agricultural infrastructure. We will create purpose-built towns or villages which are really designed to produce specific crops depending on the geography and the climate of the area. And the infrastructure will include irrigation systems. Infrastructure will include roads. Infrastructure will include, we'll have houses for those who will be moving to those areas to live in this purpose-built area. And we will develop it so that in these homes, in the fields, there will be water supply, electricity, there will be even Wi-Fi supply, so that these homes will become so attractive that our young people will be queuing up to get into agriculture. And now, when you do that kind of thing, you are already solving the problems of unemployment. People will be queuing up to get into agriculture because we have invested intentionally to make it a very, very attractive place. But while they queue to get in, they also produce and solve the problem of us sending our money to Vietnam and Thailand and all the other places to get this rice. Now, the money will be in Ghana. So the guys will have these things.
So with regard to those who are already here in the country who are engaged in agriculture,
yes.
I mean, the question of capacity to produce comes up, right?
Yes.
There are, those who grow rice. There are the rice millers. There are those who are in the poultry industry. There are those who are growing tomatoes. We are importing tomatoes from Burkina Faso.
That's
we are
right.
importing onions from Niger,
Yeah.
and all of that. One of the main complaints is that yes, those who are here can produce, but they can only produce to a certain extent, and the rest has to be made up for from elsewhere.
I
So,
think,
what is your plan in that regard
well,
to make
it's
sure that we're able to be self-sufficient in the production of these? Because the
yeah.
poultry industry will tell it, oh, I mean, those who in the poultry sector do not have enough capacity to produce poultry for the entire country. Hence, the imports have to come in to substitute what is already here.
Yeah, you know, we say these things because we have settled for the lowest level of existence as citizens. How can you say you cannot produce it?
Well, but that is what the situation is.
No, it
really
isn't
now.
actually.
That's
isn't.
what the situation
That's
is.
not the situation. The
capacity
real thing is
to
that
produce,
nobody
to
has
meet
dreamed.
the 34 million is not there. So then something will have to be done to boost the capacity of
Exactly.
those to produce.
You
So that's what
that
I'm asking
capacity.
about.
Exactly. You have to dream and visualize and envision a different Ghana. And in that Ghana, there is so much investment in the agricultural sector I'm mentioning, even with regard to these two products alone. You invest in, I'm mentioning things that you invest in, so much so that you increase the capacity of those who are there, but you also add on extra or new entrants into the field. It's all been worked out. We know, we'll find out, we'll know how many acres of rice need to put under cultivation. We know how many chicken houses have to be done. All these things have been worked out. And I can say to you that the idea of saying, oh, we can't do it, that will become a thing of the past. Because we can surely do it.
Yes, we can.
Of course we can. Because we've really reduced ourselves to some of the lower. In fact, Ghana is known as one of the largest importers of rice, largest importers of chicken, while there are countries which don't import it at all. These countries we are even importing from, Ghana should have been ahead of them. So it's by government investing, and also we shall be using innovative cooperative methods, cooperatives for productive cooperatives that will make sure that people are working together in structured ways, innovatively, so that it will be happiness. It will go back to work and happiness. It will be joy to be part of these kind of communities. And they will be providing answers for this nation.
You're still...
So I mentioned about agriculture. Shall I go to something else?
Yes, you've talked about agriculture, and
Yes.
we'll come to the next point. But let me just remind listeners that you're tuned into Star 103.5 FM. This is the Morning Star, and our guest in the studio is Dr. John Kpikpi, presidential candidate for the Progressive Alliance for Ghana. And he's been talking about his vision for the country. He's just touched on agriculture and what he believes can be done in the agri sector. So from agriculture, which is number one, what's number two?
Industry. Now,
so what are we doing about industry?
Well, we are in a very sad state when it comes to industry in this nation, because we're producing very, very little.
Are you not impressed with some of the attempts that have been made to boost industry? There's one district, one factory which has been implemented by this government.
Well,
and they say that is boosting our production.
Well,
is that on a good enough initiative?
Well, I think that that whole program should have relied on the basic economic principles of location of industries, right? Where industries, you don't just force it into every corner. Industries are located. Some places you cannot put an industry in. You can put other things in. So that's what I'll say about that. But when it comes to industry, most people, maybe about your age, wouldn't realize that there was a time in this country where we were producing shoes, we were producing television sets, we were producing radios, we were producing refrigerators during the Kwame Nkrumah's regime, right? Now, I'm sure you're surprised. You thought that all these things are always imported in this country.
Well, I know there was a time that we were producing all of that, yes.
So what we shall be aiming for is to turn Ghana into an industrial powerhouse globally.
How?
Well, by aiming to produce all the things that we use in this country. Now, how do we do this? Government, again, will invest and create conditions where Ghanaians there are many, many smart, eager entrepreneurs waiting to run, But because the leadership has not been there, most of them have not even started, or some are producing at a very, very low level. Ghana would, the PhD government will make sure that the environment is created for entrepreneurs to begin to tackle major things facing us. We shall produce from our pens, our paper, we shall produce our own clothes. I mean, do you know that $269 million is spent importing used clothing into this country every year? Now, that is unacceptable. Think about just the personal dignity of Ghanaians. If these things can be made locally by our own people, that will employ hundreds of thousands of young ladies and gentlemen, can replace that whole thing completely. Now, so we will also develop innovative, again, cooperatives that begin to, very, very productive cooperatives. We will identify things that need to be produced. So, and it's happened before. We only need to pick it up again. And I think, and I don't think Ghanaians have lost the, I don't think Ghanaians have lost the sense of producing things. It's just that every policy of government, every policy or style of leadership has never stimulated or encouraged this. But we will bring that and make it exciting for young people completing school today, universities. They will just look forward to a career, making things, trying startups and all kinds of things that should be happening.
So how is that going to happen? Are you going to give people money to start up? Are you going to put up factories or specific industries in specific areas? How are you doing that industrialization in terms of the when it comes down to the specifics?
I don't know whether you've been listening. I've already mentioned it, that we will be inspiring Ghanaians.
Yeah, how?
Well, leadership, one of the biggest jobs is to inspire and to create the environment for people to aspire within what you are releasing to them. So what it will mean is that government can get involved in the initial stages. Government can invest in small business to increase their capacity. Government can start new things completely and start off maybe government partnering with other people, private people, and then of course can release it to them later on. But when you inspire a generation and making things become the joy and the thing rather than always sitting down trying to import and sell, there are many, many Ghanaians who will rise to it. And that is what we are looking for. So we'll create that. And the added to that will be the finance. We're living in a country now where, borrowing from banks, you will pay interest rates of 37, 38%, sometimes even 42%. Now that's mad. It's not normal. It's abnormal, but it has become normal in our nation. We will make sure that that kind of thing is slashed way down to under 10%, so that people who are eager to have, there are many people who got plans on their laptop. They got plans they want to implement, but they dare not approach banks for any loans because of this very, very high abnormal interest rates in our nation. We will change the financial environment so that people can easily access capital and then use them to do their startups. And government will be a key player in that, at least in the initial stages. And then it will just take off. When it becomes a culture that, hey, when people complete their university now, the first route is not to start applying for jobs. The first route is start trying to think what I'm going to do with what I've got to get going. We will create the opportunities. That's what a government should do. And we will also give the can-do spirit to Ghanaians. The can-do attitude, we'll give it to Ghanaians. This is the kind of inspiring leadership that we bring.
Right. So you talk about the can-do attitude. You want to inspire Ghanaians to believe that anything is possible, to believe that we can do things.
Yes.
So again, I come back to the how that is going to be done, to put it in the minds of Ghanaians that we can do this. How will you do that?
Well, we need to speak to people. I can envision gathering a room full of young people. We speak to this nation. We change the whole negativity around the place. We speak to people, and then we also will model it as well. Now, when I say we'll model it, I have said that when we do come into power,
Yeah.
Our Minister of Industries will not live in Accra unless all the industries in Accra. If we have opened up an industrial park in Bogoso or open an industrial park in Kumasi, our lead minister will have to go relocate there and make sure they see that thing actually take off and running. And so by getting us, and the same with agriculture, if we open up our productive towns or prosperity towns, whatever you call them, and the Minister of Agriculture will not live in Accra. He will have to be part of that. And so by speaking about it, by talking to people about it, and also modeling it, it will very quickly become the culture. This is what we are about. We actually mean what we are doing. We are really intentional about this. So this is how it's going to go.
So from agriculture to industrialization,
Yes.
helping to reset the mind.
Yes.
Right? So let's come to number 3.
Number 3, very critical, as any of the other two, all are extremely critical, will be natural resource transformation.
Right.
Natural resource ownership transformation. Because God has blessed this nation with such wealth in our ground. Gold from Obuasi has been taken out since 1875. They're still getting gold there. There is gold in other places. There is oil in the ground. There's bauxite and all this. But unfortunately, the natural resource agreements that were signed for around the extraction of these minerals from the ground were made very, very unfavorable to Ghana. So, for example, although we sold $9.3 billion worth of gold in 2023, do you know how much came to Ghana? Less than 1.7%. That's like 0.16. Less than 0.2%, 2 billion. Less than 0.2 billion of the money came to Ghana. All because of the way the arrangements were made. All the money is taken by the foreign companies and whoever else is part of those companies. The same with the oil. We get, depending on who is giving you the figures, we get only between 11 and 17% of the total wealth of our oil for Ghanaians. The oil was put there by God for the 34 million Ghanaians. But somehow, only 11% is allowed to come back. The rest is taken away. Now, I think that anybody hearing this should be outraged. Should be outraged because we ought to be the owners of these natural resources. By that I mean, we own them, and if people want to partner with us to extract it, yes, we will have partnerships. And in those partnerships, we work it out so that most of the benefits accrue to Ghanaians, 34 million Ghanaians. And those who come and partner with us, we give them a just reward. We pay them for their rewards and expertise. But beyond that, PhD government will begin to invest very quickly in expertise in mining. Because I hear it's a very complex field. There's the administrative, there's the financial, there is the technical things of going under the ground and mining. PhD government will invest so that very quickly Ghanaians will be in charge, truly and truly, of those major mines. So all the wealth comes back to Ghana. And in fact, if even 1 year's worth of value from the gold fields comes to Ghana, we will never need to go borrowing 3 billion cedis from IMF. We will never do that. $3 billion from IMF. We will never go begging and they take us through a hoop, put all sorts of things. They make us devalue our currency and everything and make life so difficult in this country. We can close the door on all that by taking charge of our natural resources, which are rightfully ours. So we will transform the ownership of these natural resources through increased government investments, as well as making sure that the way the arrangements were made, we will look at it very carefully. We will make sure that this is all they are all revised. We transition the ownership to the 34 million Ghanaians.
All right. And so industrialization, agriculture, mineral and, other resources.
Yes.
Then number 4?
Number 4 is infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
And we need to, by that I mean all the links that are important in the nation for enhancing business activities and improving experience of human life. So we will make sure that we have a very, very powerful road development system. The roads will have to be improved and extended. We need to go into developing our railway network. And when I mention railways, I think that straight away, I think we should begin to think of producing our own coaches and our own engines and our own rolling stock. Ghanaians will be, again, inspired to begin to see that we can make all these things ourselves, because actually railway coaches, they're just metal boxes on wheels, actually. If we just think about it a little bit, we can produce these things, so we are in control of them. So railways, then boat transport, inland water transport. We have a remarkable lake which lies north-south in the middle of our country. And generally, travel or shipping transporting things by water transport is known as the cheapest form of transportation, actually. But we have this, we're not using it at all. We will develop that to carry most of our heavy goods across, the length and breadth of this country to as far as it can go before they get on the road again. That has to be the case where we have the boat transport, but we also need to think about energy, which is part of the infrastructure. When we hit this point, it saddens me to think that solar energy, we've got so much of it in the tropics and in Ghana, because Ghana is in the tropics. Less than 2.1% of our energy mix is from solar energy. Germany as a nation doesn't get half the sunlight that we get. 51% of their energy mix is from solar and other renewables. We will deliberately invest in the production of the solar panels ourselves. That's, again, another way in which industry connects with infrastructure. So we have a concept where we are producing our solar panels. We are producing most of that. It becomes industry again all around. And we are actually tapping into natural resources, which is all completely free. That will change the energy mix and the use of power in this country and make it a much, much easier. It will bring down even the cost of energy completely. At the moment we are burning fossil fuels, incidentally, not even from our own oil fields, we're importing the oil and then using it. Now, there's a lot of things that are not adding up in this country. When we connect these things together, we will create an energy infrastructure reliable that will, again, go to foster an increase in industrialization and all other things in this country.
All right. So you're talking about all of these things, lofty ideas, great stuff, great vision that you have for the country. You know the current state that the economy is in, where we are cash strapped. It's difficult for government to
So you knew that. You knew we were cash strapped and you were not sure we were in trouble.
To raise revenue.
Yes.
And we have about 80 to 81% of our revenue coming from taxes, right?
Yeah.
We are in serious debt, like you mentioned. We need to repay these debts and what have you. So with all the things that you want to do, how realistically are you going to get money to do all of that, considering all the debts that we have to repay, considering that our tax net is not wide enough, and even fiscal space is not even there for us to even go and borrow in the international market, and also considering that, the taxes that we have are barely enough even for capital expenditure. A chunk of it is going into payment of emoluments and all what have you. Where are you realistically going to get money from to do the big things that you say you will do?
We've thought about this very carefully. I think the third transformation I mentioned to you is the natural resource ownership transformation. Now, that will release so much wealth. If we reorganize that place very well, it will immediately release so much wealth into the hands of the government that will become available for investing in these critical areas. We are not thinking of borrowing from anybody. It will be like, this is what will happen. We are allowing most of our money to be taken out, and we chase it up and go and borrow again from there. No. Once we put a stop to that, we revise, we change that, the government will have lots of money in our hands. That will be the source. And again, let me mention about, you saying about the tax net. You know, I think that because we have not, government has missed its way trying to get the money from all sorts of taxes, multiplied tax channels, and sometimes getting to what is called nuisance taxes, because getting desperate, really. I think we are in the wrong track. The right track is if you create a very powerful agricultural infrastructure, and so much is being produced, taxes there will flow. If you begin to do industry, manufacturing can be the big suppliers of revenue for government through taxes. And there it will be like in place because they are creating wealth. Everybody will be able to pay those taxes. We don't have to squeeze anybody to get these taxes. So there has to be a change, a transformation. If we had agriculture pumping like I'm envisioning, have industry pumping like I'm envisioning, natural resource ownership change, we will not be scrounging around for this little kind of taxes. No. It will be like we'll have money in our hands to do all these things.
Right. You know, Ghanaians are fixated on NPP and NDC.
I haven't mentioned the fifth one.
Which is the fifth one?
The fifth transformation, if you can just mention that.
Yes, fifth. Okay, the fifth transformation
I think I alluded to it at the beginning. It's going to be ethical transformation.
Ethical transformation.
And in that, we seek as a PAG government to reset the whole moral and ethical values in this nation. So one of the things we will do is we will pledge to this nation, which should be honesty, integrity, and transparency that we all long for, but somehow has eluded us. We will pledge as a government that nobody in government will acquire any property during the first term of office, whether it's houses, cars, or businesses. We will not do that. Now, we will also try, if possible, to appeal to the legislature as well to do that. Now, when we reset it like that, we will not be doing anything new. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah actually, during his government, he himself never acquired any property, not even one little house anywhere. He didn't. He led his country for many years. He didn't. So we will do that, and we will pledge, which will mean we will declare our assets at the beginning, and there will be teams monitoring people. We will be a pledge that we'll do. When we do that, we believe that it will be a signal to the whole nation that there's a new leadership in the bloc. We will also make sure that people who break this will be punished publicly and removed from office, so that there will be consequences for every wrongdoing. We will set up systems as well that will monitor what is going on in our nation. We will invest a lot in our NGOs and other agencies that are committed to making sure we don't have corruption in our nation. We will be very supportive of them to play their roles. Now, we don't often realize the importance of integrity in leadership. If we get that wrong, virtually all that I'm telling you about is not going to happen. So we will be determined to have that in place. And that will become an inspiration, we hope. It will become like a new culture. We want a culture where integrity receives the thumbs up, all thumbs up, and then the bad behavior, corruption is not allowed in. At the moment, I don't know what it is, but we haven't got that yet. So we believe that when we set this thing up the way we want, integrity, honesty, transparency is the watchword. When we do that, we will be, this culture that is created around these values, we believe will slowly begin to filter through into the public service, where there is also, unfortunately, lots of corruption, into all the way down to the plumber who is trying to fix your tap in your house. We trust that they will also learn something from this. But it has to start from the head, and we are eager to provide this leadership, which will be a very, very important legacy that we'll bring to this nation.
So that's your 5-point plan.
Yes, and then there will be strong interconnections between these as well.
Between all of these.
Yes.
So I was saying that Ghanaians are fixated on the NPP and the NDC,
Yes.
as the two major political parties. That's what they have in their minds. Disregarding, other political parties. How do you intend to change that, to get to Ghanaians, to start looking at the Progressive Alliance?
Well, we have started trying to talk to Ghanaians. And we believe that if you have been doing something the same way all the time and getting bad results, it's about time you change the things that you're doing. We'll appeal to Ghanaians to actually look at their lives over these 32 years, where the two major parties have had their stranglehold on this nation, 16 years each. And then they should ask themselves, what has been the gain for us? And if they'd realize that, and I think many people are frustrated, we appeal to them, well, change the way you vote, change the way you do things, and you bring in a new government, a different group of people, and you will also see changes in your lifestyle. So we're making the appeal.
Right.
Like any other party, we make the appeal. We are eager to speak to those we are appealing to the young, the old, the pensioners. We are appealing to the unemployed, the employed. We are appealing to entrepreneurs who've got many ideas on their laptop they can't implement because of the very harsh economic climate we are in now. We are appealing to all. Well, let's give ourselves a chance by giving PAG a chance. And we will see that there will be a totally new day in this nation.
And that's what we're looking for as Ghanaians, isn't it? Dr. John Kpikpi, thank you very much for joining us in the studio. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you too, Mr. Lantam.
Yes.
And great talking to you as well.
Yes. So you can go to johnkpikpi.com. That's the website, right?
That's right.
To find out more. And also proalliancegh.org. proalliancegh.org. You can also look for John Kpikpi on Instagram and the Progressive Alliance for Ghana on Instagram as well, to follow the Progressive Alliance for Ghana and Dr. John Kpikpi, who has been my guest in the studio today, outlining his vision for this country and telling you the reason why he should be your choice in the upcoming 2024 elections.
PAG, forward together.
Forward together.
PAG, forward together.
Right.
PAG, getting Ghana up and running again. PAG, forward together.
PhD forward together. And on that forward together note, we'll wrap up this conversation. Once again, thank you very much, Doc.
Thank you.